on the Eagles Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. Now, here's your host, the voice of Eagle Athletics, Larry Weir.
With Paul Sorensen, welcome to Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. It's our final full football coaches show of the season, as next week we'll have Coach Best along with the basketball coaches in another Flight Report edition. In this program, a couple of players, a couple of seniors, Darrien Sampson and Robert Mason III. Trey Mason joining us as well. Head coach Aaron Best begins the program with us. And Montana State, that was a rough game for you guys. You just couldn't get any momentum in that ball game. They're a tough team to defend because you've got to put probably an extra guy in the box to handle the run, and then that opens you up for the pass, and they hurt you a little bit that way.
Yeah, when you really look at the tailback runs outside of the 70-plus yarder by the tailbacks, all in all, I think tailbacks had about half the yards rushing, and quarterbacks had half the yards, but the quarterbacks had less rushing attempts. So it was kind of a balanced effort yards-wise, the big one with running backs. But, Mr. Davis didn't hurt us, and he's hurt a lot of teams up to this point. But they did pull the ball a few times, got on the edge with Malott and Chambers. And, like you said, it's one-for-one football when you're talking about quarterback run game. You gotta play your keys, and if you're responsible for the quarterback, leverage and angles are everything, and we lost leverage a few times, and they made us pay along with many teams along the way. That's a good football team. They played well. They've won now 26 straight at home, and that's there's no mistake about it. They're winning at home and on the road, but to have 26 straight facing the conference that they face in the Big Sky Conference, no matter who it is at home, that's an impressive stat. So you got to give a ton of credit to that staff and those guys for doing what they do. And it's just a bit surprising that they stubbed their toe, in league play against Idaho in the Kibbe Dome, because it wasn't. They've played angry, very angry since that game, and they played a good 60 minutes, a really good 60 minutes of football against us on Saturday.
I thought one thing that would be key in the game is field position, and with their punter and kickoff guy, as well as getting a couple of turnovers on the Eagle end of the field, that was hard for you guys to win that and get some field position and try to get downhill on them a little bit.
Yeah, and really all three turnovers ended up being on the plus side of things for their offense. The one obviously returned touchdown, the fumble recovery returned inside the 5, and then the pick on our side of the 50. Those are not only three turnovers, but three turnovers that gave them the ball essentially in scoring territory right away, and so it's almost like a turnover and a half, if you will, and it's you don't have to play perfect, but you got to play close to it, and especially you get behind early on, the field position is not in your favor. On top of having two punts that were tipped with a punt. Those are on top of that. Those aren't 50-yard punts. Those end up being 30-yard punts. That's another 40 yards when you add those two up in the field position battle. And you got to do a lot of things right. We didn't do enough of those things right. And there are some bright spots, but not enough to score that Montana State ball club.
Last couple of teams, Coach, have kind of been influencing you guys, to the tight side of the field. So they'll run tray sets with three receivers to the tight side, and you kind of roll your defense that way, and then they're running wide, and they're getting some big plays there. So it looks like they're kind of game planning on that, the way that the defense is rotating a little bit. Is that something that you can address and look at, maybe play a little bit more zone, or what needs to be done on situational stuff along those lines?
You play zone, and all of a sudden they pick you apart, and whether it's their line screens or screens in general, you play man, and all of a sudden your quarterback player gets just, and all it takes is a half a second before you take a misstep. And formation of the boundary is something that a lot of teams have attacked us in, and we've attacked offensively a lot of teams that way as well, based on how they set their front and play nickel to the boundary, nickel to the field, or if they want to play middle closed or middle field open. But when you're running games going as well as it was, and they've done it to every team up to this point, essentially in their 10-game season thus far. All of a sudden now the play-action pass becomes that much scarier. All of a sudden you got eyes and hats and attention at the line of scrimmage in that front seven, and then you start adding safeties into the mix, and before you know it, you got receivers that haven't maybe run a ton of routes for the last 6 or 8 or 10 plays, and all of a sudden before you know it, your eyes are in the wrong place, and all of a sudden the guy's behind you 6 or 8 yards. And so it's certainly you gotta dot every I a couple times, across every T a couple times to get it done. And when they don't turn the ball over and they're that explosive, that means they're that much more dynamic.
And they seem to be a team that really, like all teams do, play well at home. And as you mentioned, the 26 wins, in a row. The 2 teams that have beaten them up to that point was Sac State to snap, that streak, in Eastern Washington. So Eastern has always had success, up till the last couple of years against Montana State, and has matched up really well. And it looked like that was going to kind of happen, and then the things kind of went a little bit sideways quickly in there, and that added to their momentum. Is that something you sensed on the sidelines?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you play a great team on the road in that type of atmosphere this late in the season, I mean, it's the margin for error is that much slimmer, and we didn't do ourselves any favors. We held a few times, but field position, turnovers, and obviously their ability to have some chunk plays in the pass and the run game, they mixed up well enough, and they got their guys' balls in space, and there were some plays made out there. There's no doubt about it. There's a couple plays that we backed them up, and you get in a situation 3rd and 16, 3rd and 18, they hand the ball off, or one backer short of the box because he stepped about 2 yards wider than he should have, and kids make mistakes and things happen, but we still have 10 other people to be able to rally to the ball, and before you know it's 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line, and so that was the kind of day, unfortunately, that we had, and we take responsibility not playing as well as we're capable of, because in a lot of times this is the same team that 9 weeks ago we went in and lost a double overtime game to Fresno State, and we don't hang our hat on that, but we did that. That was us 9 weeks ago, and we just in that tough environment against a team that's playing for as well as they are playing for seeding. I mean, we knew it was going to take our best shot, and we didn't give them our best shot, and they certainly did a lot of really good things against us in that 60 minutes.
The offense was still able to move the ball. You guys had a lot of first downs. You had a lot of yards, especially passing in this ball game. You just couldn't get it into the end zone.
Yeah, and it's they're gonna make you go down the field 8, 10, 12, 14 play drives, and you might get some going 4 or 5 plays before you know it, the ball's knocked out. I mean, they bank on keeping the ball in front of them. We had a couple explosive plays, either in scramble drills or our screen game, and we know those were possibilities. We just didn't create enough of those possibilities. Got too many 2nd and longs and 3rd and mediums and longs, and they feast on 3rd down, both their offense and their defense. That's what they built themselves for to be successful in those situations. 3rd and short on their offensive side of the ball, and making you 3rd medium to long on their defensive side of things, and that makes things more difficult when you can't hear, when you have to non-verbally communicate, and all of a sudden before you know it, guys steps wrong, and you got pressure on the quarterback, and things go kind of awry. But we did some good things. Offense has been going, and this just in, we're not a dynamic run by you offense. We're not going to probably get to putting the ball up and having 2 and 3 and 4 play drives. We're built right now to be 6, 8, 10, 12 play drive offense, which then enables the defense to catch your breath a little bit too, because there's not a ton of up tempo teams in this conference, and so it's been kind of nice to be able to kind of lean. But the more snaps you have in a series, the more opportunities you have to potentially make a mistake, especially if you have a ton of 3rd downs on those drives. But we'll try to click on all cylinders this weekend. Playing at home, it's just a different vibe. Trying to push ourselves to 4-1 on the red this year.
They're a team with, how good they are on 3rd down. And they have a lot of 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s. That helps out a lot. So with Coach Vigen having come under Coach Bowl at North Dakota State, how close are they to the old North Dakota State teams that Eastern saw a few years ago?
Oh, they're different. They're different. They'll run some same sets, some same schemes. They'll motion quite a bit. They had a few tight ends that they usually have out in this game, so their personnel was a little bit limited. So they didn't get into as many as their heavy sets as they usually do. But they'll spread you out, and they do it. They make you defend the width of the field with their run game, and most people make you defend the width of the field with their pass game, and they do it via the run most of the time, and then before you know it, they give you some motion, they bluff a handoff, and all of a sudden, they're taking advantage of something because a corner stepped up to, try to negate a line screen or a bubble or, just a now screen, and so they do a good job mixing it up. They give you a lot of different sets out of a lot of same personnels, and they keep you honest, and they make you work for it. When you don't turn the ball over, when you run as well as they do, when your completion percentage is as well as it was, that's going to be a tough team to defend no matter where you play them.
You guys won the last game of the year last year. You want to win every game, obviously. You work hard to win every game, but how important is it to win that last game of the season for momentum to go into the off season?
Well, you and I talk about this all the time. I think it's very important to prepare, and we do prepare and expect to win each game we prepare for. I don't know that it necessarily affects the next season, but it certainly affects the weeks and maybe a month or two going into winter break and the winter quarter. As far as that goes, it certainly helps you in a lot of ways and leaves a better taste in your mouth, and finishing on a high note in front of your home crowd, and with the seniors that are going to be leaving us exhausting their eligibility, and so it's always a bittersweet ending to a season when you're not doing as well as you anticipated, but doing better than you were, and we're much further along this time than we were last year. We still got miles to go and room to grow in a lot of areas, which we will, and continue to evaluate in all scenarios. But it's just fun. The last game is always memorable, but it's even more memorable if you're on the winning side of things at home. And our home fans have always been by our side the entire way. It's been great for the last 2.5 decades here. They've Cal Poly, there's 1,500, and they stayed the entire time, and kudos to them. That was not probably a fun game to be in the stands watching, and in that rainy, windy environment. And so the true ones stick by your side, and these seniors, and there's just a handful of them, not a ton of them. They've all got different journeys to get to this same end destination, and we're going to try to provide all we can do to get a win, sending them out with a memorable last college victory.
Kakoa Vesperis just had a 300-yard game. Efton Chisholm's moving up the list for receiving yards and all those different things. This is going to be an interesting defense at Northern Arizona. Chris Ball's got them playing pretty darn well, but they've always been a team that will give you a lot of different looks up front. They'll loop and stunt and blitz. They'll show one thing, jump into something else, but they really like to play on the backside, a lot of man and things along those lines. Is this kind of a team that can create some big plays, but also maybe open themselves up for some big plays for the offense this weekend?
Well, I think having a head coach who's a defensive-minded head coach is certainly someone where he's going to lean on that side of the ball. They give you different looks on the first level, which then may or may not coincide with the back end, and so that's kind of the most difficult with any team. They don't give you the same look, throughout from front to back. They'll do some different things. They'll roll coverage. Those guys, they're aggressive with their hands. They're aggressive with their eyes. They've got a front that can get home to the quarterback in third, medium, and long. They got big guys in the middle to be able to bounce the ball outside and send it to their edge rushers or outside linebackers and safeties. And so they've beat 3 ranked teams. They took Montana down at home, and here Montana is playing for the Big Sky Championship this week against Montana State. So they've never been taken lightly. They won't be taken lightly. And on both sides of the ball, they give you different looks. They'll do a lot of different sets, a lot of different motions, some trick plays on offense. So it's a little bit UC Davis driven in the fact that they're going to make you work for your yards offensively, and they're going to get creative offensively against our defense to test us. And this just in, they'll run the ball. And their quarterback run game is taken flight the last 3 or 4 games. They've really leaned on the quarterback run game to add another dimension to their run game, which again, that +1 run game is different no matter who you face, whether they're that dynamic or not. It's still one more hat in the run game that we have to defend.
They only have 4 seniors on both sides of the ball, so they're a relatively young team as well. They have a receiver, though, that's, I think just broke their career record for catches. So they've got some weapons, on the offensive side of the ball. Is this something defensively? It's been tough to stop the run. Are you expecting maybe them to kind of lean on that, set up play action pass, maybe do some different things that way? Is this a game where basically you try to stop the run and then make them earn, the big plays through the pass? What are you going to try to do that way in terms of getting after them?
I think it's less about what what we intend to do. It's what we're going to get from them. I think they're going to try to be as balanced as they want to be. They're going to see how we're going to rotate or how we're going to run with motion. They're not going to give the same look probably 2 snaps in a row. They're creative with their run game. They do a gap scheme and zone scheme and running back runs and quarterback runs and fly sweep runs. So they're going to test us on the edges and inside the edges, and we've again we've got to play stout. We got to create some turnovers. We got to create some big hits and some turnovers. Hopefully on their side of the 50, which gives our offense a short field, but again, I think it's one of those games where the kicking game is going to be a factor. Whether it's kickoffs or whether it's field goals or whether it's punt or punt return. I think that's going to be a difference maker. They've got a great punt return unit as well, so it's not just the O&D side of things. It's also that third tier to the game, which is special teams, and I like our chances playing at home in 44 degrees and possibly a little rain and certainly there's wind in Cheney in the fall when we play at home. So it's just different elements for them, but that doesn't make or break the game. It just allows us the home field advantage.
All right, November 13th, 1999, young Aaron Best played his last game, his senior day game. I know the score. I know the outcome of it all. What do you remember of that game?
It was at Joe Albee Stadium against Weber State, and going into that game, I think we got wind that they were, and I don't know, there wasn't social media back then, but there was wind that they might play a bare front. They were a 4-down front the entire season, and someone got wind that they might play a 5-down front, and as a center, that's a different animal to you because you're making calls, and now there's someone on the ball right over the top of your snap hand, as opposed to having 4 down linemen. There's 5 down linemen. It was on the turf, if you want to call it turf. It was something laid over concrete, which was in Joe Albee. Took the yellow buses to Joe Albee. That was kind of a badge of honor for us to go to Joe Albee whenever we played there on the yellow Cheney School District buses. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we won the game. And so that's about. And then also obviously honor my mom and dad at senior day. So don't remember too many plays with that game, but I remember pregame meal, heading to the stadium to Joe Albee and playing Weber State. So and we were victorious. So those memories are fresh. Trying to create more memories for these seniors on their last one.
And that was exactly where I was going with that. This game is memorable for those young men who are playing their last game. You guys did win that game 30-27 back in 1999 against Weber. This is a big game for those young men.
Absolutely. You're always going to remember this one, win, lose, or draw. And as much as we can do to surround those seniors, the guy that are exhausting eligibility, and it's always a weird one every year because it's not going to be the same locker room even without those seniors gone. There's going to be change. It's inevitable when you get to the end of a sports season, and just cherish the moments, cherish the people you're around. Do what you can with it, and it's some guys are it tugs at it more than others, and I'm one that it tugs at pretty good before the game, but once that ball's kicked off, it's go play. Our way with a mentality, and we'll leave it all out there. So you can have all the stories you want after the 60 minutes of football. Those could be talked about forever and ever and ever. But the stories get better, the better game and the better outcome you have.
Coach, thanks for the time as always. Good luck against the Lumberjacks.
Thank you very much, fellas.
That is Eagle head coach Aaron Best. When we come back, it's our player interviews. Darrien Sampson will be first, then Robert Mason III, Trey Mason. That's next here on the Eagle Football Coaches Show Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber on the Eagle Football Network from Learfield.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Order Bud Light online today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Come visit The Plains, a 9-hole golf course and practice facility with 2 full-length practice holes, a 60-yard wedge area, putting green, and driving range. We are also now home to the new Plains Public House, a great place to catch the game and grab a drink. Located at 9810 West Millville Road, Cheney, Washington, just 10 minutes from downtown Spokane. To find out more information, go to theplains509.com. That's theplains509.com.
Welcome back to Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. Time now for our player interviews on this program, and we bring in first senior cornerback Darrien Sampson. Your dad is a high school coach, Rainier Beach High School, longtime coach there, a lot of success. I'm guessing he's the one that got you into football.
Oh, for sure. He's the one that wanted me to play football since day one. I fell in love with basketball first, but he played cornerback at the Division I level, so that was always his dream for me to do the same.
Was it a hard decision for you to go from basketball to football, or was it good to keep peace at the house?
It was a hard decision. There's a lot of arguments and stuff, but when I actually first got my offer here for Eastern Washington, that's when I finally made my mind up, and he told me see, it's time to open your eyes up and take football more serious. So I just decided to buckle down on football and take it more serious.
Well, and Rainier Beach is kind of a basketball school. I mean, your dad's had good success in football, but they've had longer success at basketball.
Yeah, Rainier Beach was known for basketball. I was down there on the state team for basketball, and one of my goals before I got out of Rainier Beach was to go to a state finals for football, and that's what we did our senior year, and we was the first Rainier Beach team to ever do that. So that's one thing I'm going to take to my grave is, as long as I'm alive, is we was the first to do it. So
something else you'll be able to take with you out of Eastern is the fact that your true freshman year you got to play in the playoffs, going up to the national championship run. You got to play at Washington, you got to play at Oregon, you got to play in some major stadiums. What do you remember most about your Eastern days?
Man, Eastern, that's a lot of memories, a lot of great memories. I wouldn't be here without the people in this program, the community that helped me get through this whole process of just becoming from a young man to an adult. So, so many memories, but the greatest is I'm getting to leave with a Big Sky ring. Got to go to the national championship my freshman year, so I got to see those guys put in that work, and then I got to put in work myself. So.
Is it a little, this week is your last week, so what's your thoughts here going into your last few days of being able to play here in this uniform on this field?
Man, it's bittersweet. Taking it in day by day, just taking in every moment, just enjoying the air, just enjoying being around the guys still, and, just letting everybody know how much I love them and just being joyful still just being here.
It's interesting. You want to go out on senior day with a W, and all the other guys that have been part of that class in terms of all the things that you've gone through. Not many people can say they've played for a national title, and you can say that. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You still got there. So when you look back on those things, what has been your favorite memory so far here at Eastern Washington?
My favorite memory, I'll say, was going to the national championship. We got the whole experience. That was my first year in college. I only been here for about 6 months, so I got to get the whole experience of just going out there, doing all the games with the other teams, and then getting the whole conference experience, and then, finally just getting the whole championship experience. I wish we would have won it, but, we won the Big Sky that year, so I think me and Anthony Stowe's the only two on the team right now who has a Big Sky ring, honestly, so that's also another achievement that I take proudly.
Basketball and football really have some great things in common in terms of, especially at corner, being a defensive back, you got to guard guys man to man. You have to, chest up. There's a lot of crossover stuff. Did that really help you transition from high school basketball into college football?
It's a little different, but I'll say, playing basketball for sure did help me because, I've been through a couple of DB coaches, and all of them say stay in front of the guy. It's just like playing basketball. So that's one thing I do take is just like playing defense on the basketball court, but except you got cleats on the field. So, it takes a little more athleticism, but, it's still the same thing.
The beach. It's always amazing because we have a chance to go over and do the high school championships for the Greater Spokane League here, and it seems like you guys are in it every year. People don't understand that summer, you have to go and do travel squads and playing with all-star teams. Did you get a chance on the football side to get to go to any camps? Is that kind of where Eastern found you? Did you come to their Eastern camp, or did you go to UW? Did you go to some different things football-wise to help you kind of in the summer?
Oh, yeah. Man, high school, it was a great experience. I was all over camps. I was playing 7-on-7 for Tracy Ford, so he was taking us all around places. I was playing on national stages, and I was actually at one camp around on the west side, and Coach Cherokee at the time, he seen me as a freshman, and he just kept in contact with me all the way into my senior year, and then gave me the offer, told me how much he liked me, how much he wanted me here. So that was one reason why I did come here, because of him.
Pops being your coach, that's not easy. I coach my sons and my daughter, and they're still mad at me, I think, because you're going to be harder on your kids than you are on anybody else, because you want to set an example and kind of set the precedence. But was that for you something that made you better because of what he was able to do as the coach?
Yeah, for sure. It was hard at first because, as a young kid, you think your dad's picking on you and stuff because he's yelling at you a little more, but at the end of the day, he's still trying to get me better as if I was just a normal player on his team, So I was just taking that in, like, I got to be the example because I am the coach's son. So they're going to look for a reason for, people to say something like, oh, why is he in the game and stuff? It's only because he's coach's son. But, no, it's because I put in the work and, led by example and set the standard.
Could you ever see yourself going back and replacing Pops down the road at Beach?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Pops always tell me to keep my mind in coaching. You never know what happens. Just because of the game of football. But I don't know if I could top his greatness. In the high school world.
How hard was it, Darrien? You got hurt last year. How hard was the comeback, and how satisfying is it now to be able to be on the field at the end of your senior year?
Man, it's a long, tough road. I didn't quite understand, at first of just being hurt and, all the emotions I was going to go through. I just thought I was going to be able to just shake it off and come back. But, it made me a tougher soldier. God puts his toughest soldiers through the toughest battles, So I feel like now I'm just blessed to, be able to step on the field again and just run and do what I love to do, because at first, I tore my ACL, so I couldn't even jog a little bit, So just coming back from the injury really, I wouldn't say it humbled me, but, it made me a better person because I'd never been hurt before. So that was my first time of just sitting back and just watching the game and just really just cherishing every moment out there. Like I said, it's like Saturday, I'm gonna shed a few tears because it's my last opportunity on the red, and it's been a long ride. So, I'm just happy for that.
You were elected captain this year. What did that mean to you?
Oh, it meant the world to me. My last senior year at Rainier Beach, I was elected captain. So one goal I had this year was to be a captain for Eastern Washington my senior year, and I took their push off season. The guys were putting in tons of work, and I was still rehabbing. I was really just laid back, but I knew I had to be there for the guys and be a voice. So I just took that approach in the off season to just be the voice, for the team and just become elected captain. And coaches decided they wanted to elect me captain. I was grateful for that.
In about 3 weeks or thereabouts, you turned 24 years old. What is that? You came at 18 into Cheney. What's 6 years taught you?
Man, it just goes by fast. Once everybody wants to get to 21, and then once you get to 21, then the ball is just rolling from there. So it taught me a lot, but, I am who I am today just because of where I'm at now. So I'll say Cheney is home for me and always will be home. I've been out here for 6 years. The address is on my ID. So, Cheney will always be a place in my heart.
You've got your bachelor's degree. What are you doing now school-wise, and what do you want to do with life once football ends, whether that's now or whether that's in a year or 2 years or 10 years?
I'm just in the post-bac classes right now and, just being eligible for ball, but I don't quite know yet what I really want to do in the work world yet. I got my bachelor's in communications, minor in business, so it's quite a variety of things I could do, but,
It's kind of scary right now?
Oh, yeah, it's really scary because it's real. I got a couple more days to really sit down and decide, what I want to do in my life.
Well, congratulations on a great career. I hope the best for you in this ball game on Saturday, and good luck the rest of the way. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Darrien Sampson here with us. When we come back, Trey Mason will join us on the Eagle Football Coaches Show. Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
When you work around here, your day can go all over the map. You need a truck that takes on any task and keeps working hard no matter what crops up. Smart and tough trucks from Corwin Ford make your work easier, whether it's finding your destination or getting to work once you're there. So load up, head out, and no matter where you tow, you'll be on track to get the job done. Corwin Ford, family driven for over 100 years.
Welcome back. Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber for the second time this year. We talked to Robert Mason III, Trey Mason, going into your last game against Northern Arizona. We are recording this as the week of practice begins. So, I mean, what's it like knowing these? You're down as we record now to 3 practices plus the Friday walkthrough before your last game.
Yeah, for sure it has started to hit me probably right around the last game, really, on that plane ride. Y'all know Nolan Nolm, he's the homie, so he was like, hey, this is your last plane ride and last away game. And so when he said that, it kind of took everything in for what it was, especially during that game. And this week is no different. I definitely feel very appreciative of the coaches and the staff who have given me a chance up to this point. And I think it's just one of those things where I'm taking in everyone's company on the team, and just really taking in those relationships and building that for after football's over. But it's crazy, man. Just even today, last Monday practice, so ready to head into NAU though, totally locked in. But just being very, very grateful and blessed for the opportunities that have been given to me up to this point.
What are you going to miss most?
I'm gonna miss the process, man. I'm a big process guy. I'm not a big outcome guy. And the process of winter balls to, spring ball to summer, man, I would say summer is probably one of the most fun because no one's on campus and, you're just here with the guys and the team, getting in that work, getting stronger, faster. That's where you see most of the games, really. But, yeah, that's what I'm going to truly miss is just the whole entire atmosphere, the whole entire campus. Eastern has just done so much for me, and I'm gonna miss the whole entire community, and I'm just looking to be a proud alum, and yeah. So I was out to piggyback just the players, the watching the film after practice, being the last one off the field, being the first one on the field, just everything. Sleeping in the facilities, turning on the weight room because no one's in there, being in here during the holidays because that's when you get the most gains on people. I know I'm kind of just listing on a bunch of things, but those are the things I'm going to miss most. And that's what I'm going to look to carry on to my career moving to like the pro level. And so that's what I'm going to carry with me is just that work ethic.
That's what I was going to say is the process doesn't end, right? Because you are hopeful of a professional career at some level.
Oh, yeah. So the process is just going to keep going. And this whole entire season has only left me a little bit more hungry moving forward. It hasn't been perfect, with the outcome of our wins and losses, even with my own stats. So I think it's just leaving me a lot more hungry for the next level, man. But, I'm still very grateful, and I wouldn't change it any other way because I know God has a plan for me, and, his plan is always the best plan. So I'm glad everything happened the way it did because, yeah, I'm just a little bit more hungry to play at the next level now.
Trey, I thought Montana State was one of your best games. I thought you played really well. You had some big catches. You were physical on the point of attack. That was a really good football team. The Kakoa and the other quarterbacks are running for their life, so it's tough, to try to run routes when, you don't have maybe the time for your QB to sit back there. What were some of the things that you guys had to do adjustment-wise, to get yourself open and to make some plays?
Yeah, so heading into the game, I think what was the big emphasis on our end was just knowing that as a receiver core, we've done a really good job up to that point. So winning at the top of the route was one of our big deals, and knowing that we were going to see a lot of zone, cover 3, cover 2, and we were running a lot of spot routes, which, yeah, to your point, I felt like they were there. Efton Chisholm started off the game with a catch, which was on a spot route, and I felt like we didn't do our best job executing, but But with the plays that were given to us by the coach, I felt like we did all right around the perimeter, and I still got to give kudos to the line because that's probably the best D line that we've gone against all year, and I feel like all the QBs as well handled the pressure decently well, even though the game didn't show that outcome, and it was still a blessing to play up in Bozeman, and yeah, so it was a great game, but yeah, they did give it to us on that day for sure.
Well, and it's that's a football team that has a chance to win a national title, in my opinion. They were the best team that I've seen, other than maybe Fresno State. They're just different, from that perspective, but they're loaded top to bottom, and Eastern's been like that in the past and has had a chance to run, a couple national championship opportunities. From that perspective, knowing you have one game left, you're going to play a Northern Arizona team that likes to bring pressure, likes to mix up coverage, likes to play a lot of man. You've got to win those one-on-one battles. Is this a game that you look forward to preparing all week to take on Northern Arizona and Cheney on Saturday?
Oh yeah, for sure. I look forward to every game. But to your point, knowing that we are going to get a bunch of man and blitzes, I feel like we are going to be a lot more simple this week and just be us. That's our offensive slogan is be us. So we're definitely going to ride that out and yes, I feel like our coach is going to give us opportunities as receivers to win our one-on-ones, and our running backs are still going to go crazy too. Tuna and Justice, man, they're ballers. So yeah, it's going to be a great game versus NAU. They are a really great team too. I believe they beat a couple great teams this year as well. So this conference, man, like you can't take no one for granted. It's any given Saturday. So looking forward to it.
It's the best conference in the FCS from top to bottom, in my opinion. But my opinion doesn't count for diddly squat. But it is what it is. But I mean, and I look at you guys, as a receiver core, and you can see how tight you are. With Efton having the year, he's moving up the record ladder. And Olm and you and any one guy could really go off in any game. Does that give you a lot of confidence when you come into a situation in terms of game day, knowing maybe, hey, this can be my game, I'm going to go off?
Yeah, man. Every game is just so much fun because we grind with all of the guys during the week. And yeah, to your point, us receivers, we are so tight, man. And, most of us have been here for at least 3 years together, me, Nolan, Efton, and Jacoby James. So we definitely have that bond, and we generated a lot of off-season workouts on our own with the team as well. So I feel like as leaders of the team, we've stepped up in that arena as well. And I just love how selfless our room is, too. Whenever Efton has a good day, we're patting him on the back. Whenever I have a good day, Nolan or Cove, Stell, like just anybody, we're all there for each other, and I think that's what makes our room so special. And just trying to withhold the tradition in the room as much as possible. That's always our goal. And so trying to make the guys proud that came before us is always in the back of our heads. But yeah, man, it's a blessing playing with these receivers, and I'm definitely going to miss that as well, when I leave.
Have you thought what it's going to be like on Saturday when you come out onto the field for senior day with family and everybody else in tow?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to everything, and I don't feel like my preparation for this game or just anything is going to be much different. And I'm really just locked in on the current moment, and I think I'm gonna let all my feelings kind of out after the game's over. But just preparing for this game like it's week one and staying locked in the whole week because we still have one more game left, and that's the main focus for right now. But yeah, I'm super excited to have my family out there, and honestly, I think it's going to be dope having some of my family out there that haven't been to some of my games. So I think that's what I'm also looking forward to as well, some of those family members that are making it out.
There's one family member that won't be there, but he's got bragging rights on you during the holidays, and that's your brother who plays at Idaho State. So
Yep.
What was that like to be on the same field with him last month when you got to do that in Pocatello?
Man, the result was definitely heartbreaking for me, but by far the best football game I've been a part of, just from pregame. And it's crazy, like when we were little, we used to play knee football, so I would stand up I would be on my knees and he would stand up because he was just like the little brother. So the fact that we got to share that field together that day was awesome, man. And he was on that onside too that they got, so that kind of hurt. And I was talking my mess, but man, it was so cool. Has so many family members that came out. They had the whole entire split shirts action going with the Eastern Idaho State, and the Idaho State fans were giving them some crap at first, but until my parents told them what it was, then they were a lot more forgiving. But yeah, it was a blessing, man. And just knowing that we had that game at the beginning of the year, I never really thought about it too much, but until I stepped in there, it was a totally different feeling.
Trey, thanks for the time as always. Thanks for doing this. Congratulations on your career. Best of luck against the Lumberjacks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Eagle wide receiver Trey Mason. We'll wrap it up on the TDS Fiber Flight Report after this timeout on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
George Gee Buick GMC is proud to support Eastern Eagles football. We're your locally owned dealer with excellent customer service and a friendly staff. Right now, get great offers on the all-new GMC Sierra, featuring a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine delivering 310 horsepower. See our inventory of Sierras just off I-90 at George Gee Buick GMC, the top volume Buick GMC dealer in Washington State. Visit GeeBuickGMC.com.
Welcome back to Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. It is our Eagle Football Coaches Show on our last regular Coaches Show for football of the year. We will hear from Aaron Best next week, along with basketball coaches. That's the plan at this point in time anyway, and so stay tuned for that. The Eagle football team taking on Northern Arizona on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Roos Field in Cheney. Get your tickets. Come out, support these young men. You heard from two of them just moments ago with Darrien Sampson and Trey Mason. Support these young men in their final game of the year. Support the football program in their final game of the year. Support the university in the final football game of the season as the Eagles play North Dakota State. 1 o'clock is the kickoff time. Tickets available. GoEags.com. Click on the tickets link, and we hope to see you at Roos on Saturday. Our airtime on the radio will be at noon with 1 o'clock for the kickoff. Let's tell you about other things going on campus now. The volleyball team clinched a spot in the Big Sky Conference tournament last week. They'll have their senior night, Friday night, Red Reese Court against the University of Idaho. They will be going on to the Big Sky Conference tournament next week, so it's not the end of their season, but it is the last home game. Sage Brewstad, who had over 1,000 career kills, will be honored on Friday, so get out there and see her. The women's basketball team, 2 great wins over the weekend. Oh, actually, it was last week. On Wednesday, they won at Southern Utah. On Friday, they destroyed Utah State. They are 2-0 in the season. Thursday night, home opener, Corbin University on Red Reese Court. 6 o'clock start time for that. Men's basketball team lost 3 rough games on the road. They've got another rough one coming up on Friday as they lost at Utah, at Ole Miss, and at Cincinnati in 3 road games last week. Friday, they're at Stanford. Our airtime is 5:30 and tip-off is at 6 o'clock from Maples Pavilion on 700 ESPN, 105.3 FM, your home for Eagle Athletics. So that's what's going on in Eagle Athletics this week in the Big Sky Conference. Let's look at, well, first off, let's look at the top 25 polls. 4 teams are ranked. Number 3 in the Stats Perform Media poll, Montana is ranked 3rd, Montana State 4th, Idaho 6th, Sacramento State is 8th. In the FCS Coaches Poll for this week, Montana 3rd, Montana State 4th, Idaho is 8th, and Sacramento State is 10th. So that's what's going on there. Those are the only 4 teams in the FCS polls that are ranked going into this weekend's games. The standings in the conference look like this. Montana State, they're on top at 6-1. Idaho is 5-2. Sacramento State, UC Davis, and this week's opponent for the Eagles, Northern Arizona, they're tied for 4th at 4-3. Eastern is in a tie at 3-4 with Weber State, Portland State, and Idaho State. Cal Poly's at 1-6, and Northern Colorado is 0-7. So here's the schedule for this week in the Big Sky Conference. Of course, the big game is going on in Missoula on Saturday as Montana State plays at Montana. Winner take all. The winner of this game is the sole Big Sky Conference champion for 2023, and they will be the conference automatic entrant into the FCS playoff field. Now, both teams are in as far as that goes, but there's only going to be one champion this year. It's not going to be shared, and the winner of this game is the team that will win. and that game starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday. Other big games going on. Sacramento State plays at UC Davis. UC Davis still has a slight chance of getting into the 2014 field, but they have to beat Sac State. And if they do, that could eliminate Sac State from further consideration. Portland State's at Northern Colorado. Idaho needs a win at home against Idaho State. They're likely in regardless, but they may very well be a seed if they win that game. And then Weber State is at Cal Poly. That's what's going on this week in the Big Sky Conference. So that's going to do it for this week's program. We want to thank Trey Mason and Darrien Sampson and head coach Aaron Best. We want to thank you for listening as well, and we hope to see you at Roos Field in Cheney on Saturday. Support these seniors, send them out with a victory, or at least doing what you can to help them get out with a victory. 1 o'clock is the kickoff time, and tickets available at goeags.com. A lot of things going on the home front this week. Women's basketball on Thursday, we had mentioned that. Women's volleyball on Friday, and then the football game on Saturday. A week from Wednesday, November 22nd, your first chance to see the men's basketball team as they play at Stanford, as I mentioned, on Friday. Then they'll host Walla Walla University the night before Thanksgiving, Wednesday the 22nd. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks again to everyone. For Paul Sorensen, I'm Larry Weir. You've been listening to Flight Report, the Eagle Football Coaches Show, presented by TDS Fiber on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
You've been listening to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Eagle Sports Network.